Welcome back. Today we're looking at a YouTube script from The Storybox that goes after Tucker Carlson's recent Saudi Arabia trip and his surprising claims about Christian safety there.
It's a fiery one.
It is. So let's just dive right in. The first thing that hits you, I mean, it's right there in the first 30 seconds, is just the raw anger.
Yeah.
We're talking about the speaker's whole persona here. The writer calls Carlson a psychopath, a dingbat, a liar.
Multiple times.
Yeah, and they even, mock that story Carlson told about being attacked by a demon in his sleep.
It's visceral, isn't it? You can feel the heat. And look, I think you have to start by saying that emotion, it's understandable.
Oh, for sure.
If you believe Carlson is, basically providing cover for a regime that persecutes Christians, then yeah, anger feels like the right response. But there's a huge gap between feeling angry and writing angry.
And that's the trap, right? It probably felt great to type "he's a dingbat," super cathartic.
Oh, yeah.
But does it actually make the argument stronger?
I would say it actively damages it. Just think about who you're trying to reach. If it's just people who already despise Carlson, fine, they'll love it.
They're already on board.
But if you want to persuade anyone on the fence, or maybe even a Carlson supporter who's open to facts, calling him a psychopath in the first minute, it's like a kill switch.
You're just telling them this is a hit piece, not an analysis.
Exactly.
Okay, but let me just push back a little here. What about that demon comment? I mean, Carlson really did say he was clawed by a demon.
He did.
So isn't bringing that up just relevant context? It sort of paints a picture of his relationship with, reality, his reliability as a narrator.
I see why you'd think that, and I really struggled with that part too. Because on one hand, it is a specific, bizarre example of his whole thing. But look at how it's framed. The writer isn't analyzing the story. They're just using it as a punchline to say, look at this crazy person. And the moment you mock someone's mental state or their spiritual experiences, even weird ones, you kind of lower your own status. You stop being a critic.
You become a heckler.
You become a heckler, yeah. It gives the listener permission to just dismiss you. They can just go, oh, this person's just a hater. And then they don't have to engage with the really solid points you make later about Saudi law.
Right. Okay, so let's get practical. How do we fix it? We want to keep the force of the argument, but dial back the personal attacks. The script says, I don't trust in liars, psychopaths, dingbats. How do we translate that?
You have to shift from attacking the man to attacking his record. So instead of he is a liar, which is a judgment on his character,
right,
you could say something like, it's difficult to reconcile Carlson's history of rhetorical shifts with his current endorsement of a regime known for religious restriction.
Yeah, that lands so differently. It sounds less like someone yelling at their screen and more like a closing argument.
It forces the listener to actually think, wait, has he been inconsistent? Instead of just getting defensive about the insult. And you have to do the same thing with the sarcasm about his faith.
Oh, the part where he says he should just come out as a Muslim.
Yeah, that to me was a real overstep.
It felt like it was attacking his identity.
It is, and it sounds a little unhinged, frankly. The smarter angle is to attack his alignment. Don't say he's secretly a Muslim. Say, how does Tucker's America First platform square with him promoting a foreign state that's actively hostile to American values like religious freedom?
You use his own brand against him.
Exactly. That's a much harder argument for his base to just brush off.
And that's actually a perfect transition into the substance, into the evidence. So let's say we've cleaned up the tone and people are actually listening now. What do we give them? The script actually starts with a fantastic piece of evidence, the Open Doors ranking. Saudi Arabia is the 13th most dangerous country for Christians.
It's a rock-solid fact, checkable, verifiable.
It's the anchor for the whole argument. But then, almost immediately after dropping that anchor, the writer just drifts. They start speculating that Carlson is getting loads and loads of money from the Saudi or the Saudis from Qatar.
I literally groaned when I read that. Not because it couldn't be true, maybe it is, but because there's zero proof offered in the text.
Right, no source, no document, just a gut feeling.
And the danger there is that you take this really strong, verifiable fact, the Open Doors ranking, and you place it right next to an unverified conspiracy theory.
And you poison the well.
You poison the well. The weak claim contaminates the strong one. If a listener thinks you're just making up the money part, they'll start to doubt the persecution part too.
So what's the play? Do they just cut the money accusation completely? It feels pretty central to the writer's whole motive theory.
I don't think you have to cut it, but you have to reframe it. If you can't prove a bribe, don't allege a bribe. It's just lazy. Instead, talk about something you can prove. Talk about access journalism.
Okay, break that down. What does that look like in practice?
Well, access itself is a currency, right? To get that interview with MBS, To get the guided tour of a country that's normally pretty closed off, you have to play ball.
You have to be friendly.
You have to be friendly. So the writer can pivot from he got a suitcase full of cash, which is speculation, to he traded his journalistic objectivity for VIP access.
Ah, that's a much stronger claim because it's based on the visible outcome.
Exactly. You can say, we don't know what, if any, financial arrangements were made, but we do know that this kind of exclusive access rarely comes without the expectation of favorable coverage.
And that ties directly back to the data. You contrast his experience with the reality.
Yes. Make it a tale of two realities. Carlson walks around having tea and feels totally safe because he's a guest of the state, a VIP.
So the rewrite could be something like, while a celebrity guest on a curated tour sees a sanitized country, the Open Doors ranking shows the reality for an actual citizen who can be arrested for owning a Bible.
Perfect. That destroys his point without needing to invent a wire transfer. The focus on money is a distraction that actually lets him off the hook. He can deny a payment. He can't deny he was on a VIP tour.
Okay, let's move to the third major point, which is about who or what is being criticized. This is about being more precise with the religious critique. The writer is defending Christianity, which is clear, but in the process, they launch this very broadside attack against Islam as a whole.
Yeah, you see phrases like a very hateful religion and the instruction to just read the damn Quran.
It just lumps everything together, the Saudi government, Sharia law, the faith of over 1 billion people, into this one monolithic enemy.
And that's a huge tactical mistake. I see it all the time. The writer is rightly angry at the oppression, but they frame it as an attack on the theology.
And by doing that, you shrink your potential audience.
Massively. There are tons of people, secular people, moderate Muslims, foreign policy experts, who agree that the Saudi government is an oppressive theocracy. But the second you say the Quran is the problem, you've lost them.
You've turned a human rights argument into a holy war.
Exactly. And it misses the key point. Who is the actual subject of this video?
Tucker Carlson.
And what does Tucker Carlson claim to be?
A fervent Christian.
That's your leverage point. The writer spends all this energy attacking Islam for being hateful when they should be laser-focused on Tucker for being a hypocrite.
That's a really sharp distinction. So instead of, look how bad their religion is, the argument becomes, look how inconsistent his own faith is.
Precisely. This man presents himself as a champion of Western Christian civilization, yet here he is running PR for a state that would literally arrest him for holding a public Bible study if he wasn't a celebrity.
That's the contradiction.
That is the core contradiction. The script should be hammering that question. Why is a self-proclaimed defender of Christianity whitewashing the persecution of his own faith?
That hits so much harder, and it makes the writer sound like a defender of religious liberty for all, not just a partisan in one camp.
And it avoids that homework assignment of go read the Quran. No, tell them to read the Saudi legal code. That's the document that matters for this argument. It shifts the entire debate from my God versus your God to state power versus individual freedom.
Which is a much stronger, more universal position to argue from.
Much stronger.
So this brings us to our last point, and it's a technique that I think could really elevate this entire piece. It's a concept we call steelman.
It's one of my favorites, but it's so hard to do when you're fired.
It is. The basic idea is that instead of attacking the weakest version of your opponent's argument, a straw man, you engage with the strongest, most charitable version.
You grant them their premise.
Right. In the script, Carlson says something like, you should go to a place and meet people before you judge it, and the writer just scoffs at this.
Which is a mistake, because honestly, that's a good principle.
It is. We should travel, we should meet people. Judging from afar is how we get ignorance. So if the writer just dismisses that out of hand, they sound defensive. They sound afraid of the truth.
Afraid of primary source. So the steelman approach would be to start by agreeing. You say, you know what? Tucker's absolutely right. We shouldn't judge a country from an ocean away. First-hand experience is critical.
That feels scary to write, like you're giving away the game.
It feels like it, but it's actually a trap you're setting. You bring the audience in by agreeing with a reasonable premise, and then you snap it shut.
Okay.
You say, yes, first-hand experience is vital. However, the first-hand experience of a VIP on a state-sponsored tour is not reality. It's a performance. It's a Potemkin village.
Oh, that's devastating. You're not arguing against travel. You're arguing against his kind of travel. You're showing how his own principle condemns him.
And now we can bring back that demon story that we were arguing.
I was waiting for this.
This is where it fits. We're not using it to call him crazy. We're using it as a piece of evidence to diagnose his journalistic method.
How so?
You say, look,
Carlson has a documented history of prioritizing dramatic personal anecdotes over systematic data. He did it when he told the demon story, and he's doing it now in Riyadh. He is prioritizing the feeling of personal comfort he had in his hotel over the cold, hard data of the Saudi legal system.
Wow. Okay, so that completely reframes it. The demon story isn't a cheap shot anymore. It's evidence of a cognitive bias.
A bias toward his own gut feeling over verifiable fact. And that gives a more charitable and frankly more believable explanation for why he got this so wrong. It's not that he's necessarily an evil liar, it's that he is profoundly susceptible to hospitality.
He went there, they were nice to him, so he concluded the system is nice.
It's a very human mistake, and arguing that he made a human error is often way more persuasive than just screaming that he's part of some grand conspiracy. It corners him.
Right, if you call him a liar, he says, I told the truth of what I saw.
But if you say, you saw a stage play and you fell for it, he just looks like a fool. And for a journalist, looking incompetent can be even worse than looking malicious.
Okay, that's a ton of ground. Let's try to boil this down into a simple checklist for the writer, because the passion is there, the facts are mostly there, but the delivery needs a complete strategic rethink. First, ethos. You have to move this from a rant to a critique. That means scrubbing all the name-calling. No more dingbats or psychopaths.
Yep. Replace the insults with analysis. Show us his contradictions instead of just telling us he's crazy.
Second, evidence. You got that diamond, the open doors data. Don't bury it under the coal of the unproven money accusations.
Right. Ditch bribery and instead explain access journalism. Make the core of the argument about the contrast between the VIP tour and the citizen's reality.
Third, nuance. Stop the broad attacks on an entire religion. It's alienating and it's not the point.
Focus the fire on the Saudi state and, more importantly, on Tucker's own hypocrisy. Use his identity as a fervent Christian against it.
And finally, number 4, steel manning. Don't fight him on the idea that travel is good.
Agree with the principle, then show how his application of that principle was fundamentally flawed. Show how his curated experience was designed to mislead.
To the listener who sent this in, you have all the raw materials for a truly powerful piece here. The anger is justified, but right now it's acting like a shield, keeping your argument from landing.
Yeah.
If you can channel that passion into precision, if you can trade the sledgehammer for a scalpel, this thing could be undeniable.
An argument that even his supporters would have to stop and think about. And that's the goal, right? Not just to shout, but to actually persuade.
Absolutely. We would genuinely love to see a second draft of this. Take these ideas, reshape it, and send it back our way. I think you're on the verge of something great. That's all for this session of The Critique. Keep writing, keep thinking, and we'll see you next time.